How are ideas organized in the text? To answer this question, you have to go a little bit beyond naming the structure of the text. You have to be able to describe the choices the author makes in how they arrange information. First, ask yourself, what is the text mostly about? Then, ask yourself, what does each section accomplish? Imagine I've already read this text. I know that it's a descriptive text that's mostly about silent films. Now, I look back at each section to try and figure out what each one accomplished. What was its role? The subheadings, or titles of each section, are often really helpful here. For instance, the first section is called How Silent Films Worked. It's probably mostly teaching me how silent films worked. Let's read this section to confirm. For about 40 years, from the 1890s until 1936, moviegoers enjoyed silent films. These films contained no sound, as the mechanism for recording and synchronizing sound with pictures had not been perfected. Instead of dialogue, these films would convey speech through movements by the actors. To communicate the dialogue, the camera was trained on large cards with dialogue written on them. These cards were displayed between scenes. Just like the title suggests, this section explains silent film technology. It gives me details about how they're recorded and strategies that they use to keep the audience entertained. If I do the same process with the second two sections, I see something similar. Just like the title suggests, the second section teaches me about silent film stars. And the third section teaches me about how silent films transition to films with sound. To conclude, in order to figure out how the author organized her ideas, first I read the whole text once to figure out the text structure. Then I looked at my subheadings to figure out what each section was doing, and confirmed by rereading my sections. In conclusion, this author explains the technology of silent films, then gives examples of silent film stars before explaining the transition to films with sound.